Hi, how's it going? 2022 is almost over, so I thought I'd do another year in review video for Deep Rock. Last year I also did a year in review video. It was around 10 minutes long. This time around, this is going to be a little longer, a little loose. This isn't very scripted. I just have notes of particular moments that I think are good to go over. Throughout January, there were a couple patches for Season 1 that came out. The biggest of these were some font sizes being changed, which I think was most likely for the new wave of handheld PC stuff, like the Steam Deck in particular. Trying to meet compatibility things to be verified for Steam Deck, which somehow it still isn't, even though I think the game is, as someone who's played it on Steam Deck, it works fine. I don't know why it isn't verified. And they also actually added a little voice chat indicator when you're talking in patch 11 of Season 1, and that was a great change. I've been wanting that for a while, so good on that. That's probably my favorite of the changes in these patches. January 27th, we had the Lunar Festival event. This had a hat that came from an assignment, along with a bunch of other rewards. There were some new decorations in the rig, which I don't know if I have pictures of, but I'll put them up if I do. I'm assuming there's something online. This began the 2022 Space Rig decoration spree, where they continued to hit it out of the park for decorating the Space Rig this whole year. All the events were super cool. When you look at old pictures of the rig when I started playing the game and compare it to when season events are happening now, it is insane how this game's art style has evolved. That's about it for the Lunar Festival event. I mean, I like the hat that it offered and it was neat. On February 10th, they announced the board game Kickstarter was happening, and Season 1 Patch 12 came out. In collaboration with Mood Publishing, the Deep Rock Galactic board game went live on Kickstarter with a goal of 200,000 euros. It was funded within the same day, and the Kickstarter closed on March 3rd with a total of 2.5 million euros, gaining all but one of the stretch goals along the way. I've been told that some people have their board games now, which is awesome. I haven't received mine yet, but I'm hoping it'll come someday soon. I'm really excited to try it out. On February 24th, they announced the 4-year In Orbit DRG anniversary event, which brought with it 2 new hats, one of which I'm very fond of. As per tradition at this point, they had a live stream on the 25th with Mikko and Soren talking about the past year of the game, as well as Season 2. Artist showcases came later after that, mod showcases, and a stream with Jacob and some of the Ghost Ship Games crew. The rig got all sorts of streamers and confetti and balloons and stuff because of course, and there was free beer. But the Steam news post does specify that this beer is in fact in-game and not in the real world. So I'm sorry for anyone who is having other expectations of where this beer would be consumed. April 5th, they released patch 13 of Season 1. The patch notes are pretty sparse, but they do say moved some barrels, which is a contender for one of my favorite patch notes of the year. On April 7th, the Great Egg Hunt began, which is a seasonal event for Easter, and this brought 2 new hats and an assignment, one of which being one of the most horrifying things ever visually created in this game. They also switched the egg models and egg hunts to be painted Easter eggs, which is a cute little detail. I like that. And of course, the rig was decorated, but again, I don't know if I have a picture of this. I'll try to find something. On April 28th, the first big update for Deep Rock released of 2022, and that was Season 2 Rival Escalation. There was a pretty hefty amount of new content. The Rival Signal event was introduced, a new Rival Presence warning, and who could forget everybody's best friend, the Nemesis. That wasn't everything, as new secondary weapons were introduced for each class: the Bolt Shark, Shard Diffractor, Coil Gun, and Wave Cooker. A new performance pass, a mineral called Phasionite used exclusively for unlocking cosmetics in the accessory shop, and a small change to the forge, allowing you to choose between 2 classes on increasing mastery. There are also some smaller things which I think are worth mentioning just for the sake of remembering when they came out. The med gowns were added. When you get downed in a mission, you now end up in a med gown, and you actually do missions in them afterward, which is funny, and I quite like this. FSR and DLSS support was added to the game, which is neat. I was hoping this would come to the game, and it did, so I love DLSS. I use it on most games I can, and Deep Rock is one of those. I can't forget the Robot Rebellion DLC, which had one of the coolest NG armors in the game. A decent chunk of balance changes were made as well. The Sledge Pump got an increased fire rate and ammo, while reducing the magazine size and normal shot damage. Corrosive damage over time was buffed significantly, puddle size was increased, Tier 5 Ingredient X armor melting mechanic was moved to the base weapon. Tier 1 Better Air Pressurizer had an increase in projectile velocity. Tier 2 Potent Goo Mix had a decrease in damage bonus. The max ammo bonus of Tier 3 More Goo Canisters was reduced, and the damage over time Tier 5 upgrade was buffed. For overclocks, Sludge Blast was buffed. AG Mixter was also buffed, and Volatile Impact Mixter traded increased damage bonuses for a damage over time penalty. Scout's Plasma Carbine got a pretty significant nerf, reducing base projectile speed and fire rate while buffing the tier 1 upgrades for each of those stats respectively. The Impact Deflection Overclock was switched from a clean to a balanced and added a rate of fire penalty. Aggressive Venting was moved from a balanced to a clean, removing all penalties and reducing the overheat recovery bonus just a little bit. This one's one of my favorites now. Rewiring mod reduced the ammo penalty to be less bad, so that's a good thing, I guess. Lastly, there were some small changes to Electrifying Reload for the Deep Core GK2. They switched a damage penalty out with an ammo penalty. From there, April 28th to June 8th, there would be 5 patches for Season 2, the biggest of which came in Patch 4. The Plasma Carbine had a reduction in ammo count and small buffs to 2 overclocks, shield battery booster, and thermal exhaust feedback. The Bolt Shark was buffed across the board, increasing reload speed, ammo counts for special bolts, and a buff to the duration and damage from chemical explosion bolts. The coil gun also received buffs on the base weapon and some on some upgrades. The Reatomizer overclock was changed to a clean and had its reload penalty removed. Zhukov's Tier 5 conductive bullets received a damage buff, and so did the gas recycling overclock. NG's Stubby SMG received some base electrocution chance and recoil reduction, which was just moved from some upgrades. Shard Diffractor's Endothermic Explosion was renamed to Plascrete Catalyst and was slightly buffed. The Wave Cooker gained some base shot width, and Mega Power Supply had a reduction in ammo bonus. Blistering Necrosis got a bunch of changes, and I'm just going to put those on screen instead of trying to describe them, because I don't want to mess that up. Gunner's Hurricane got a buff on Tier 1's increased blast radius and Tier 2's bigger jet engine. Outside of weapon balancing, NVIDIA Reflex was introduced, which reduces latency in some way that I don't understand, but I turned it on anyway, and yeah, it does do something. I don't know what it is. On June 13th, they posted a roadmap update. They teased a small amount of Season 3 features that would be coming out in Q4 of 2022, the main of which would be 4 new grenades. Other than that, it shows Season 4 and 5 are to be announced, and that's pretty much all that there was on the roadmap. June 20th, the Space Beach Party event began, and this was another seasonal event. It came with 2 pieces of headwear. They're pretty cool. I like the flamingo one. And also the bar was changed to a tiki bar, which is always important in a summer event. On June 23rd, they posted that 4 million units have been sold of DRG, with the last milestone being 3 million during Season 1. August went by and not much was said, but in September we got the first teaser of Season 3 on the 8th. This showed off the perspective of a gas mask, like a first-person perspective, and in the right eye you can see what would later be revealed to be a contagion spike. September 13th, they showed off the Voltaic Stun Sweeper, which was Scout's grenade for Season 3. On September 15th, the Oktoberfest 2022 event started, and this was a really big milestone for seasonal events in Deep Rock, as there's some actual mission content to come with it. There were best worst beer mugs in every cave, and you'd have to collect them, and some bugs would attack you when you tried to do it. And if you deposit it, you'd get double season XP for Season 2. There were also some fantastic decorations, including large inflatable sausages and pretzels that you could fly away on. It was a good time. Also, of course, it's a seasonal event, so there were wonderfully absurd hats introduced as always. On October 1st, the vinyl pre-order from Channel 3 Records began, and this was for the DRG soundtrack. There were 2 versions, one of which was a fancy colored one. The artwork is from Tim Murray, who has made fan art for Deep Rock previously, and some of his stuff is seriously fantastic. If you haven't yet, go follow Tim on Twitter. Definitely a perfect fit for the vinyl art. On October 8th, the Season 3 title reveal happened. It is called Plaguefall, believe it or not. I don't know if you knew that. And along with it, there was a little behind-the-scenes video with the voice actor of the dwarves. I'll play a little bit of it, some of my favorite parts.
Hello there! Worm egg here. It's full of worms. Destroy it!
On October 18th, the Halloween event started. This came with 2 Halloween masks, one of which being one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty scary. On October 25th, the Season 3 narrated trailer came out, introducing all the lovely disease content we've grown accustomed to, or maybe it's grown accustomed to us. And then finally on November 3rd, Season 3 Plaguefall released. I think this is my favorite season so far. It's still recent, so I take that with a grain of salt, but I have really enjoyed my time playing Deep Rock in the past month. There's a meteor landing season event where you gotta use these machines to break it open and collect all the nasty plague hearts inside. A new warning where you have to clean up a bunch of disease that is spreading on the ground, and you gotta use some tools to do that. New grenades for each class, the Stun Sweeper, SSGs, Lead Burster, and Spring-Loaded Ripper, a new performance pass, infected grunts and Praetorians, and a sneaky feature that is my favorite of the update, which is new cave generation. Now that I've had a bit more time with Season 3, this has been the highlight of this update for me. Point extraction is completely different now. Yeah, it's the same mission type, but not having just a handful of cave shapes for that has been so drastically different for the experience of it. And I still go into them expecting I'm not going to see anything new, but I do. Oh, it's just great. I love having them. The same case for mining expedition. I mean, they added quite a significant amount that even now I still see rooms I'm like, I haven't seen this yet. And it's just so cool. I mean, I'm so happy that they did this for this update. Genuinely impressive how much this feature has brought to the game for me. From there, rival content from Season 1 and 2 was drastically changed for Season 3. Industrial Sabotage was given a shorter version and a decreased length across the board. These shorter sabotage missions are also available in deep dives now as the primary. Rival patrol bots now zip around the caves a little less intensely and also can react to being frozen, which is nice. Burst and sniper turrets have reduced damage, and rival presence warnings are not always available on the mission board. Lastly, all the rival events were moved to the general event pool, making them spawn similarly as often as other events in the game. 2 assignments were added to the game relating to Plaguefall, and these came with a hefty reward of performance points, giving players a little boost in the performance pass. Promotion assignments were given randomization, so missions aren't the same every time you promote. This is my least favorite change in the update. I think losing the ability to do promotions alongside other players is a bigger deal than assignment variety in a co-op game. Lastly, we have some weapon changes. I didn't go over these in the overview video, and people told me I forgot it, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't forget it. I just cut it out because it was 5 minutes of me going over weapon patch notes that was really boring, and it kind of felt out of place in the video. That being said, this is the perfect video for me to be boring, so here we go. The Plasma Charger upgrade Flying Nightmare was changed to Burning Nightmare, now converting some damage to fire damage on charged shots. Plasma Splash was also added to this weapon, and it's kinda bad as of right now. I'm assuming it'll change at some point, I don't know. The highlight of weapon changes was the Deep Core GK2 receiving a massive buff. This included increasing base weapon damage, weak point bonus damage, weak point stun damage, and magazine size. Along with that, a ton of upgrades were altered and moved around. I'll put them on screen if you want to look at them for yourself. 3 overclocks were buffed, Electrifying Reload, which is now an okay option, Bullets of Mercy, which was already good and is now even better, and AI Stability Engine is more forgiving on the damage penalty and has a higher weak point bonus, so again, another buff. Moving on from the GK2, the M1000 overclock supercooling chamber is no longer terrible, so that's cool. The Sabata has a corrosive damage upgrade in Tier 5, replacing the Mactera one. The Wave Cooker's convex lens upgrade now works how it should. The Zhukov's gas recycling overclock got an armor breaking bonus, and the HE grenade for Driller gained the ability to cook the grenade so you can hold it for the right amount of time to toss it and it explodes when you want. And it also got a damage radius buff. Lastly, for Season 3, there are new shouts on the laser pointer, a new loadout slot, miner's manual terminals, a couple small things I want to bring up just because they're cool. The new subtitles look a lot better now, and the interruption voice lines for pinging mushrooms and gold chunks are super cute, and I love stuff like that. Ghost Ship Games, you're the best. And that's pretty much Season 3. From November 4th to December 8th, Season 3 got 9 patches. I'm not going to go through everything that changed in these. Some of it was just important crash fixes or gameplay breaking bugs. I'll go over the stuff I think is worth mentioning in each patch. Patch 1 reduced the max amount of contagion spikes from 4 to 3. There's also a bug that made enemies spawn in constant waves during point extraction, and that's fixed, which is good, but that also sounds kind of fun, I'm going to be honest. In patch 2, there was a prettier meteor landing effect. Infected Praetorians do a little bit of damage when they vomit now. Industrial Sabotage was made even shorter on lower length. Also, the quote, dwarf should no longer get stuck behind medbay biotank was one of the things that you can read in these patch notes, and it's good stuff. I love games so much. What a fantastic art form. Patch 3, Bosco seeks out and automatically cleans up foam in follow mode. You can no longer stick lead bursters to your friends anymore, which is definitely a good thing. Patch 4, Bosco still refused to do his job and clean Plague's stuff, so they tried to fix that again. I think this is when they fixed it for sure. And the boomerang targeting was changed a bit and fixed up. Patch 4.1, they removed some unintended meteors. That's good, I guess. Patch 5, they added a 3 plague warning challenge. I don't know what this even means still. Patch 6, a bunch of small fixes happened, and I don't want to go over them. Patch 7, they introduced meteor showers, which send down smaller little meteors in abundance. If you break them open with your pickaxe, there's a chance of a plague heart. Patch 7.1, they removed some unintended meteors again. Patch 8, they made some small fixes that aren't really worth going over. And patch 9, they added another pass for procedural generation to avoid issues with objects and caves generating in not good ways. And lastly, they fixed Huli Hoarders screaming from beyond the grave, which is good because it was so annoying. We end this year with the Yuletide event on December 15th. This brought an assignment with a nice payout and another assignment where you can get a bunch of elf-related cosmetics and a pickaxe, which was super cool. Along with that, a shipment of decorative elves was lost in transit, and now they're running around on Hoxies, so you gotta take them out and deposit them to bring them back to the rig. The holiday decorations are again fantastic. This year was just great for decorations on the rig and ended it on a great note. And that's everything for Deep Rock in 2022. I'd say this year was pretty good. Season 2 wasn't my favorite season, but Season 3 is definitely looking like my favorite at this point. I just love the theming and I love what they added, especially in procedural generation. Just to talk about the channel a little bit as well, since you know the year's wrapping up and I'm thinking about how the last year went. In 2021, I got about a third of the views that I did this year, so thank you. I can't even believe that's the case. It means a lot. 2022 went a lot better than I thought it would. This channel has grown a lot more than I thought it would. I put a lot of effort into these videos, and if you really enjoy them, consider supporting me on Patreon. You'll get teasers for new videos and get to see them a day early and ad-free. Yeah, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support this year. I did not expect it to go as well as it did. I have tons of ideas as always, whether it's Deep Rock or not. I'm always thinking about stuff, so I'll see you in the next year. This is my last video for 2022. Thanks for watching. Rock and Stone.